Welcome back to part two of the You're Missing Out 2025 Oscar special to kick off our newest season. For you guys listening at home, I don't know how long it's been. We're still making that decision, but for us, it's been about one energy drink and 20 minutes. But we're kicking off by ranking our nominees for Best Picture, um, ordering them 10 to 1. And we're going to kick that off with Kyle.
Great. So at number 10 is Emilia Perez. Number 9 is Conclave. Number 8, A Complete Unknown. Number 7, I'm Still Here. Number 6, Wicked. Number 5, Dune Part 2. Number 4, Nickel Boys. Number 3, Anora. Number 2, The Substance. And my best picture pick, to no surprise, is The Brutalist. These are, I got a couple different swaps here. I swapped I'm Still Here with Kneecap because I fucking love Kneecap, and that is a movie that was sorely overlooked. I got to see the band live twice. They did a Q&A. They talked about making that movie with such love and integrity. It's hard not to watch that film and feel good. The energy that you felt, Mike, after Wicked was what I felt coming out of Kneecap. Like, oh, high octane movie. If anybody's got Netflix, go watch it. I also swapped out Conclave for Real Pain. That is a movie that really spoke to me personally. I'm really a big fan of Jesse Eisenberg's work, and I'm really excited to continue to see what he does next. The only other swap that I did was Emilia Perez for Challengers, because if you needed something horny, it was right fucking there, guys. Come on. Jesus.
All right, Tom.
All right, from 10 to 1. Emilia Perez, Wicked, A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, The Brutalist, Conclave, Nickel Boys, I'm Still Here, The Substance, and number 1 with a bullet, Anora. I've got a bunch of swaps, baby. All right, we're taking out Emilia Perez, Wicked, A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, The Brutalist, and Conclave, and we are swapping in Nosferatu, Furiosa, Red Rooms, Rebel Ridge, Queer, and my best wild card of the night, Hundreds of Beavers. Oh, because if we're going to fucking celebrate an indie movie that did some shit that you couldn't even fucking imagine how they did it, and it worked in a way that doesn't even fucking make sense, and yet it's amazing, Hundreds of Beavers, baby. There's so many beavers, and he kicks the shit out of all of them. It's amazing.
All right.
Mike, can you pop it?
All right. My number 10 is Emilia Perez. My number 9 is A Complete Unknown. Number 8, Dune Part 2. Number 7, Conclave. Number 6, The Substance. Number 5, Wicked. Number 4, Anora. I think you can probably guess where this is all going. Or can you? Number 3, I'm Still Here. Number 2, The Brutalist. And number 1, the best picture of the year, Nickel Boys. Okay. Yeah, Tom's making a face. He was all... That's why, Tom, you were saying, in part 1, you were like, well, I know what your number 1 is. I'm like, I don't think you do. Number 1 is Nickel Boys. I think that is an extraordinary work. But I love The Brutalist. I love them all. That said, I do have some swaps. And I'm very specific with my swaps. I want to make sure the Academy still gets what they want out of things, okay? So, guess what? We're taking out Conclave. You know why? Because Academy, if you want a drama, if you want a tawdry kind of procedural drama that's tense and feels like a paperback thriller, let's take out Conclave and let's toss in a movie called Juror Number 2. What a great goddamn picture. You want a drama? You want votes? You want tension? You want secrets hidden? Juror Number 2. Okay, Academy, then we're going to take out Dune Part 2. We're going to take out Dune Part 2. You know why? Because if you want a story of a man in a foreign land having to battle the elements to win the heart of a girl, that's right. Let's put in Hundreds of Beavers. That's right. I'm with Tom. Hundreds of Beavers. It's absolutely... Again, do you want to win the heart of Princess Irulan? I don't know. Do you want to win the heart of that girl with those long socks on by playing a video game by bringing in beaver pelts? You bet you do. You bet you do. Hundreds of Beavers. I'm also with you on Hundreds of Beavers, and I thought I was going to be an asshole with that one. Okay, I got 2 more swaps, folks. Complete Unknown. Okay, what did people like about a Complete Unknown? Well, there was that tension. There was that love triangle, right? Guess what? If you want a love triangle, if you want tension, the movie that I think is the most egregious snub this year, hands down, I'm with you, Kyle. Challengers. Take out Complete Unknown for Challengers, right? So I'm swapping out Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, and Conclave for Hundreds of Beavers, Challengers, and Juror number 2. But also, there's the matter of Emilia Perez.
Oh, no.
The Academy.
I know what you're going to do.
Hey, Academy, you want to honor a musical that's about a murderer, criminal, who is struggling with their identity? Well, folks, you don't need to honor Emilia Perez. You can honor a really good movie. You can honor a movie that shocked the hell out of me that it's good. I'm being fully sincere here. I am mystified that people go to bat for Emilia Perez, but are critical of, that's right, Joker Folie à Deux. A good movie. I am shocked to say a very good movie.
You are such an herb.
I don't know. That one really worked for me. I think Joker 2 is better than the first one. And again, if you didn't like either one, if you didn't like Emilia Perez and you don't like Joker 2, fine. I get it. But I don't want to hear anybody who likes Emilia Perez and was like, Joker 2 doesn't work. Shut up. So those are my swaps, I think, in my perfect world. Challengers, Hundreds of Beavers, Juror number 2, and Joker Folie à Deux in the Best Picture conversation. Ladies and gentlemen.
Why do I talk about movies with this guy? What am I doing with my life? This is ridiculous.
The world needs now is love.
Alrighty.
Sweet.
Well, that wraps up our conversations about the Best Picture nominees, but we've got tons of categories left, boys and girls at home. We know that Mike, ever the homework co-host, has his rankings ready for all of them. The rest of us will be chiming in as we see fit, but we're going to kick it off with Best Director.
Now, normally what we also do is we say, do you guys remember what won last year? And here's what I'll say to that. We all do, because it was Christopher Nolan running the table on the night with Oppenheimer, the movie that last year you guys all really liked, and I looked like an asshole because I liked it slightly less than you guys. Do you remember that?
Well, because you are an asshole.
I just took a drubbing for the audacity of thinking Oppenheimer was the second best movie of the year.
I don't even remember what I thought about it.
But I will say I fucked with The Brutalist harder than I fucked with Oppenheimer.
Wow!
Well, that's just silly.
Oh boy,
that's just silly. That's just silliness.
So anyway, last year Best Director went to Christopher Nolan, but this year here are my rankings for Best Director. Number 5, James Mangold for A Complete Unknown. Number 4, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez. Number 3, Sean Baker for Anora. Number 2, Coralie Farge for The Substance. And number 1, Brady Corbett, or Corbet, I don't know how he's doing it now, Brady for The Brutalist. Had I my druthers, I am swapping out Jacques Audiard for Ramel Ross for Nickel Boys, and I am swapping out James Mangold for Luca Guadagnino for Challengers.
Okay. Wow, Emilia Perez didn't finish 5th in something. That is just... You are really in fine form tonight, jerk-off. Okay, so my ranking of Best Director is Jack Asshole for Emilia Perez, James Mangold for A Complete Unknown, Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, Coralie Farge for The Substance, and Sean Baker for Anora. I'm swapping out Jack Asshole, James Mangold, and Brady Corbett for Robert Eggers on Nosferatu, George Miller on Furiosa, and Mike Cheslick for Hundreds of Beavers.
Kyle, before you go, I just want to note, it's so great that every year Tom has his one, I'm being like a little stinker pick, but this year we're all just okay with it.
I need to revisit it, because clearly I feel like I'm a crazy person because I watched it. I'm like, yeah, it's fine, but I'm like, does it go harder than I realized?
Kyle, I understand why you're confused. because you watched it and came away thinking there were maybe like a couple of beavers. What you might not have realized is
that there were hundreds of them. No. I'm aware, and I'm really
He
excited for
fights
the
all
sequel,
of
which
them.
will be thousands of beavers.
He fights all
hundreds
of them.
beavers.
Yeah.
In
Hundreds
the
of
words of past guest and esteemed film critic Patrick Willems, there's so many fucking beavers.
There's so many. The cornucopia of fucking beavers.
beavers.
Kyle, what's your rankings?
There's more beavers than in Anora.
I got Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez. Number 4, James Mangold for A Complete Unknown. Number 3 is Sean Baker for Anora. Number 2, Brady Corbett for The Brutalist. And number 1, Coralie Farget for The Substance.
Interesting.
All right.
I didn't do
Right
any
on.
swaps. I was too tired for swaps.
That is A-okay. We are moving on to our next category, which is Best Actress.
Okay. Okay. Who? Oh, wait. I'm trying to remember.
I mean, that's you.
No, I'm saying I'm trying to remember who won last year.
Oh, that was
Do you guys remember?
shit.
Well,
Wasn't
it definitely
that
wasn't an Oppenheimer win.
Oh, fucking! It was goddamn Emma Stone in Poor Things.
Oh, right. It was Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon. Right. Okay. Yeah. Just
No, it
making
was
sure.
Poor Things. Yeah, Poor Things was the right choice. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Best Actress. My number 5, Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez, and I thought that before the tweets too.
Yes.
My number 4, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked. My number 3, Mikey Madison for Anora. Number 2, Demi Moore for The Substance. And number 1, Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. I would swap out Carla Sofia Gascon for Zendaya in Challengers. What are we doing? What? Did you not see the movie? I'm
Yeah, they saw
mystified
her
by
act.
this. And then I would swap out Cynthia Erivo for Lily Rose Depp in Nosferatu. So, yeah, that's my Best Actress rankings. Tom?
All right, mine are Carla Sofia Goebbels for Emilia Perez, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Fernanda Torres from I'm Still Here, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Mikey Madison for Anora. I am swapping out Carla for Anya Taylor-Joy in Furiosa, and I am swapping out Cynthia Erivo in Wicked for Juliette Garepi from Red Rooms, an absolutely psychotically upsetting performance that, really loved.
Well, let's see, folks. Number 5, I got Carla Sofia Gascon, Emilia Perez. Number 4, Cynthia Erivo, Wicked. Number 3, Fernando Torres, I'm Still Here. Number 2, Mikey Madison, Anora. And my number 1 pick, Demi Moore, The Substance.
Alrighty. We are moving on to Best Actor, and I actually am doing my job as MC now. I've pulled up last year's winners, so I can ask who remembers who won for Best
Killian.
Actor last year.
My boy Killian.
Oh, that's right, Paul
He was
Giamatti
so
for The
nice
Holdovers.
about it. He was so
Killian
nice
won.
and drunk about it. He was so red in the cheeks. He just got kissed by his wife. It was so tender.
Killian. Rightful winner.
All right. My ranking, number 5, Ray Fiennes for Conclave. Number 4, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. Number 3, Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. Number 2, Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice. A really nice surprise, that whole thing. And number 1, Adrian Brody for The Brutalist. And I am only doing one swap, which is I swap out Ray Fiennes for Daniel Craig in Queer.
All right,
Ray Fiennes, Ray Fiennes. I'm splitting the difference, Kyle. I don't give a shit. Whatever.
It's pretty fucking Fiennes.
Great. Good for
All right.
Ray Fiennes.
All right, my rankings is Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and Adrian Brody for The Brutalist. I am swapping out almost the entire card here. I'm taking out Coleman, Timothy, Sebastian, and Ralph. I'm putting in Nicholas Hoult for Juror Number 2. I'm putting in Aaron Pierre for Rebel Ridge. I'm putting in Daniel Craig for Queer. And I'm putting in Ryland Brixton Cole for Hundreds of Beavers.
Oh boy. Number 5, Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. Number 4, Ray Fiennes for Conclave. Number 3, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. Number 2, Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. And my number 1 pick, Adrian Brody for The Brutalist.
I gotta say, that Apprentice ranking surprises me. I thought you would have dug that more.
I'm glad you said something. Some things to note, and I will mention it if we need to get those points. Certain things might be ranked low simply because I didn't get around to seeing it, and The Apprentice is one of those.
Buddy, we do this every year. You're not supposed to rank the ones you didn't see.
Well, I can't rank. Well, it's ranked at the bottom because I didn't see it.
But the people don't know that, so it just sounds like you hate the movie.
Well, listen, that's all I got. So I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my god. Every year.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Year.
Welcome to Whose Line Is It Anyway, where the points are made up and nothing matters.
Exactly. 2025 in a nutshell. What's next?
We are moving on to the category of Best Supporting Actress, and I will ask if anybody remembers who won last year.
It was Emily Blunt.
No, it was
Was it not?
Mm-mm.
It was
no,
fucking. No, you're right. No, you're right. I'm sorry. It was freaking. Oh, no.
I don't know how I'm not pulling this now. I thought I was going to be supposed to. Divine, you're in it for the holdovers, of course.
That's right.
Okay.
I wonder if
So I
Carla
was
has
right. It was Emily Blunt, not Oppenheimer. Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to say. I want to get this out of the way because we talked about potentially like talking about why we rank things the way we do. This I have got because the last 2 years of supporting actress wins in particular were actual supporting performances. Divine Joy Randolph is a real supporting performance, okay? Jamie Lee Curtis is undeniably a real supporting performance. You can even take this back. Maria in West Side Story is a supporting performance. Troy Kotsur in Coda in Best Supporting Actor is a supporting performance. I am tired. I am so tired of lead performances being category frauded into supporting. And that is so egregious this year that I am so fed up with it that my criteria this year is I am judging it based on the title of the award, which means if you gave a really good performance, that's a lead performance. You gave the worst supporting performance to me. I will absolutely dock points for category fraud now. And that is why in this category and the next one, my number 5s are what they are. So let's do this. For Best Supporting Performance, number 5 is Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez, because that's the fucking lead of the movie. She's the lead of the movie. There is no arguing. She's the lead of the movie. Okay. Number 4, Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown. Number 3, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave. Number 2, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, and I cannot believe this is where it wound up, especially how I felt about this, but number 1 is Ariana Grande for Wicked. Now, I want to be clear, do I think that Ariana Grande is going to have a diverse filmography as an actress going forward? Certainly not. Every once in a while, a director just casts an actor who is so right for that one moment that you're like, yep, everything about this works. This person is perfect for this thing. And the reality of it is, for me personally, that just fired on all cylinders there for me. Anyway, I would swap out Zoe Saldana for Maria Bakalova in The Apprentice. I thought, listen, if you're nominating the other two, I thought she was a very good third part of that. But I'm also swapping out Monica Barbaro for the most egregious snub this year, Danielle Deadwyler for Nickel Boys. That is, you want to talk about a memorable and remarkable supporting performance. What Danielle Deadwyler does in Nickel Boys is phenomenal and infuriating that was just passed over this year.
Yes, so obvious that I don't know who she is in the movie. I don't know. I don't remember her in the movie.
She's
Ariana
the
Grande
mother.
was annoying.
She's the mother. The boy's mom.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, she'd be number 5 even if it wasn't category fraud, but because she's bad in it, because it's a bad movie. Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. Ariana Grande in Wicked is 4. She's very annoying and she's not good. The perpetual "I'm 12 years old even though I'm 35" thing just annoys the hell out of me. Isabella Rossellini in Conclave. Felicity Jones in The Brutalist. Monica Barbaro in A Complete Unknown. I'm swapping out the whole fucking thing. This is just an absolute dog shit supporting actress fucking lineup this year. I'm putting in Jodie Comer from The Bike Riders. I'm putting in Margaret Qualley from The Substance. I'm putting in Adria Arjona from Hitman. I'm putting in Rebecca Ferguson from Dune 2. And I'm putting in Laurie Babin from Red Rooms. Just do over the whole thing. This is nonsense.
Kyle?
My number 5, Isabella Rossellini from Conclave. Number 4, Zoe Saldana, Emilia Perez. Number 3, Ariana Grande in Wicked. Number 2, Monica Barbaro in A Complete Unknown. And my number 1 pick, of course, is Felicity Jones in The Brutalist.
All right, we are moving over to Best Actor. Who remembers who won last year?
Oh, supporting actor.
supporting actor?
Yeah, supporting actor.
Sorry.
Does somebody else want to take it? I know who it is, but if somebody else...
I truly don't. No, my memory's fuzzy after this.
Well, you don't remember? They turned around and they said, hey, supporting actor this year, we got it wrong a decade ago for Tropic Thunder, Robert Downey Jr. That's what they did. It was wild.
Oh, right.
We were all just shocked. It was crazy. They were like, we know you're nominated for Oppenheimer, but like on your trophy, it says Tropic Thunder. We don't know what to do about that. Like, it's weird, right? It's odd, but it's there. It was Robert Downey Jr. last year. Okay. Best supporting actor. Now, this one, I think Kyle's going to get mad at me, but I got to be me. I said, if you are a lead, if you're a co-lead, you're out in supporting. That is strikes against you. And therefore, at number 5, Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain. He's great in the movie. Do not get me wrong. He is great in the movie. He's a phenomenal lead performance in that movie. But that is not a supporting performance. He's a fucking co-lead. Number 4, Edward Norton in A Complete Unknown. Number 3, Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice. Number 2, Guy Pearce in The Brutalist. And number 1, Yura Borisov for Anora. You know why? Because that's a fucking supporting actor performance. That is what a supporting performance looks like. That is exactly what that is, and he knocks it out of the park. In a just world, Yura Borisov has to get up on stage and give an Oscar speech. That's how it works. I am swapping out 2. But before I do my swaps, I did want to give honorable mention. I couldn't fit him in because of the swaps, but attention must be paid. Adam Pearson in A Different Man is phenomenal. I don't know if he could get into this category, but my God, he's just electric in that. My 2 swaps, I am taking out Edward Norton for Dennis Quaid in The Substance. People don't appreciate that performance, I think, because it seems so broad. But I was saying at the time after I said, I'm so glad Dennis Quaid is in this role, because a lot of people would come in and be like, well, I know what this guy's supposed to be. He's supposed to be a sleazeball, right? But they would play him like a sleazeball in any kind of like crime movie or horror movie. But Quaid kind of does something different. And listen, I'm not going to ascribe it all to his politics. I'm not. But I'm just going to say, it feels like Quaid is going in and being like, this is what the typical Hollywood liberal is like. And you know what? It works in this movie. It gives it a different energy. I love how showy he is. I love how cartoonish he is. And that he's never like rubbing his hands together like people typically play like gross Hollywood executives. He just keeps playing like, I'm everybody's friend. I'm great. He's so good in this. And I am swapping out Kieran Culkin for, quite frankly, one of the best supporting performances of the year. Clarence Divine Eye Macklin for playing himself essentially in Sing Sing. I don't know if people watching this have seen Sing Sing because I know it was underseen this year. I came to Sing Sing late. I said to Tom, one of my issues with Sing Sing is it's the Nomadland problem where the people who are like Hollywood actors seem even more Hollywood next to the real people. This guy, Clarence Divine Eye Macklin, is just, my God, that guy comes on screen and you're like, put him in fucking everything. I want him in a Star Wars. Like, what a guy. What a presence. I love this guy. So those are my swaps. Tom?
All right. I agree with Mike about the category fraud thing. So Kieran Culkin will not be number 1, but I'm not dropping him down to number 5. So I'm going to have Edward Norton as A Complete Unknown, Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice, Guy Pearce in The Brutalist, Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain, and Yura Borisov for Anora. As Mike said, that is an amazing, just perfect encapsulation of a supporting actor performance. I am taking out Norton, Strong, and Pierce. I am putting in Dennis Quaid from The Substance. That is absolutely just amazing work. I'm putting in Chris Hemsworth from Furiosa. That is just I feel like a career recalibrating role for that man. Of just he doesn't have to be the big, heroic beefcake. He could be just a freak. Just put him in some prosthetics and let him be a weirdo. Speaking of prosthetics, I'm swapping in Bill Skarsgård from Nosferatu. Truly one of the most mesmerizing, transformative things I've seen in ages. I know you could say, "Oh, it's the prosthetics," but from the way he moves to the way he talks, and even just like you see nothing of Bill in that performance. That is Count Orlok. That is not a that is an evil presence trying to eat my soul. So yeah, those are my swaps.
Number 5, Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice. Number 4, Edward Norton in A Complete Unknown. Number 3, Yura Borisov in Anora. Number 2, Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain. And my number 1 pick is Guy Pearce in The Brutalist.
Mike, I think we just let it go. Let's just let it ride.
It's you know what it is? You know what it is? I'll say this. If it was Tom, I'd be like, this is just what he does. This is just what he does. Is I'd go, hey, don't rank the ones you haven't seen. And he would go, fuck you. I'm going to do it anyway. And I could let it roll off my shoulders. It's like that bit in The Simpsons when Lisa's doing something and Marge goes, Bart, no! And Bart goes, I'm right here. And she goes, I'm sorry. It's just a force of habit. Lisa, no! That's how it is for me right now. Is Kyle's like, you know what? Fuck your rules. I'm going to do what I want. And I'm like, Tom, no! I'm just so used to it. But no, Tom follows the rules, God bless him. As far as we know, he could not have seen any of these films.
No, I suffered through some of this bullshit.
There's a non-zero chance he turned off Wicked after 10 minutes and just went, I can wing it.
I got the Jeff Goldblum.
All right, we are moving on to our next category, which is Best Original Screenplay. But before we jump in, who remembers what won last year?
Not me!
Original? No.
Oh, wait, I do. Anatomy of a Fall.
Correct.
That's right.
Because that was that cool thing where, like, the 2 screenplay winners, we were just like, oh, good they get something. So, original screenplay. My number 5 is September 5. Because that snuck in out of nowhere, and I'm just going to say it. Here's the thing with September 5. That is a really good idea for a movie. That's a really good idea for a movie. Not sure this was the way to do it, but fine. September 5 is at number 5. Number 4, A Real Pain. Number 3, The Substance. Number 2, The Brutalist. And number 1, Anora. For all of my qualms with certain things about Anora, God bless him. That is, I have to imagine, having because I actually sat and read not all of these scripts because I didn't have access to all of them for whatever reason. The Brutalist just didn't want us to have it. But you do read that Anora screenplay and go, my God, what it must have felt like to read this. Like when Sean Baker sends you this, he goes, this is my next project. You do read it and go, oh, this is going to hit. This is just going to work, right? That being said, I have 2 swaps. I'm swapping out A Real Pain for Juror number 2. And I'm swapping out September 5 for the best screenplay of the year. Again, I'm going to keep going back to this well. This one baffles me. Challengers. You can't even give it a nomination for screenplay? What happened here? What it was up for the WGA? What happened? What happened with September 5? What's going on here? I am lost on this one. The absolute lack of love for Challengers is insane. That screenplay for Challengers fucking cooks. I rewatched Challengers with the script in my hand and followed along. It's so goddamn good. It's unreal. What are we doing? It makes me so mad. Anyway, screenplay.
All right. Best Original Screenplay. A Real Pain, September 5, The Brutalist, The Substance, and Anora. As Mike said, Anora fucking rips. Gotta do it. I'm swapping out A Real Pain, September 5, and The Brutalist. I am putting in Juror number 2. I am putting in Red Rooms. And as a true fuck you to Mike, I'm putting in Civil War.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Tom.
Wow. Yeah, but I'm the asshole. Yeah, okay.
The WGA nominated Civil War 2, so listen, choices get made. Choices get made.
I know they do, Joker 2 boy. Next.
Kyle.
September 5th, A Real Pain. Anora, The Substance, and my number one pick, The Brutalist.
How many of those have you seen, Kyle?
All of them.
Just checking.
You didn't
No, I
watch
appreciate
September.
it.
You watched September 5?
And I probably watched it before you did, Mike. Do you want to see my AMC ticket? Or
No, I'm just surprised of all things, like that you saw September 5.
Yeah, man. It was in the theaters longer than Sing Sing. It was in the theaters longer than I'm Still Here. I saw September 5th. I did not stay for the pre-recorded Q&A at the end because I forgot about it. Because like you mentioned, it's a movie that shouldn't exist. I don't know what it's doing. I don't know why we have it, but yeah, it's a movie. I saw it.
You know, it'd be cool if somebody made a movie about like the aftermath of the Munich Olympics. Like, what if you made a movie about like, you know, the Mossad strike back against Black September? Could you imagine that if they made a movie like
Be a good movie?
Like you could get like Eric. What if you got like Eric Bana and Daniel Craig? Like, what if you really felt? And what if Steven Spielberg directed it? Now that would be cool.
Now you're cooking. Now we're cooking.
Now if that movie came out, I'd be like, I don't think we need to make any more movies about the Munich Olympics. But it never happened.
And if that movie came out, there'd be no controversy whatsoever. No. Everybody'd be able to read that thing very clearly and be able to see exactly what it was going for.
And the one thing you could guarantee is that whole movie wouldn't be slightly derailed by a, honestly, kind of awkward sex scene toward the end. But anyway.
Disastrous. It is the third act of the Brutalist of sex scenes. Next,
we are moving on to Best Adapted Screenplay, and who remembers what won last year?
That would be American Fiction.
Yep,
that would be American Fiction. And
good win.
Yeah, when and he got up and he was like, "Hey guys, instead of making $100 million movies, make more $10 million movies." And we got the Brutalist. Yep, that's it. We got the Brutalist this year. So hell yeah. All right. Okay, so adapted screenplay. My number 5 is Emilia Perez. Unsurprisingly. Also, what is that adapted from? I hate that.
His own original opera.
But that's the thing. I hate that rule with adapted screenplay where they're like, hey, movies adapted from true stories, not adapted unless it's based on a book. However, if you are adapting something that has never been published, that counts as adapted. What do you mean? That's insane. If I get halfway through writing a short story and I go, this would be better as a screenplay, it's like, oh, you're adapting your book. What are you talking about? No one's read it. That's just called a draft. Anyway, Emilia Perez at number 5. Number 4, A Complete Unknown. Number 3, Conclave. Number 2, Sing Sing. And number 1, the miracle that is the screenplay of Nickel Boys. Just insane that works. I would swap out Emilia Perez for I'm Still Here. And I would swap out A Complete Unknown for Queer. Because I mentioned the miracle of adapting Nickel Boys. Quite frankly, and this has only worked like once, if you are able to adapt a William S. Burroughs novel into a movie, you have the mandate of heaven. I don't know. I've read plenty of Burroughs. That's not a thing that you could do. So God bless him.
And the guy who adapted it never read it before Luca hired him to adapt it.
Boy,
Luca's like, oh, I've been wanting to make this a movie since I was a little boy in Italy. Will you adapt the book for me? And fucking Justin, what's his name, is like, yeah, I never read it, man. I'm too busy writing movies about me and my wife cucking each other.
Hey, Luca said, oh, please, write this screenplay. Since you wrote that Challenger screenplay that's surely going to get an Oscar nomination, because how could it not, he said. What are we doing? What are we doing? Anyway, Tom.
Bums! Okay. Adapted screenplay. Emilia Perez, because it was written on used toilet paper. A Complete Unknown. Sing Sing, Conclave, and Nickel Boys. Gotta give Nickel Boys that credit. Good stuff. I'm swamped, but this is another almost full sweep of swaps. I'm taking out Emilia, Unknown, Sing Sing, and Conclave. I'm putting in Nosferatu. I'm putting in The Bike Riders. I'm putting in Furiosa, and I'm putting in Queer.
Okay. Kyle?
I got number 5, Emilia Perez. Number 4, Conclave. Number 3, A Complete Unknown. Number 2, Sing Sing. And my number 1 pick, Nickel Boys.
All right.
Alrighty, we are rolling along through to Best Documentary Feature.
Oh, I
Who
can skip this one.
remembers?
I will also be abstaining from this one.
Last year was 20 Days in Mariupol, the
Correct.
Ukraine war first-person documentary.
Oh, yeah.
I will say this. A really strong year for documentary feature. I was very surprised by this. This is actually a really good lineup. Number 5, Sugarcane, which, you know what? I'm just going to slightly toss out what these are because, nobody's listening. Nobody's watching. No, Sugarcane is kind of like, it weirdly is kind of a companion piece to Nickel Boys because it's about the abuse of Indigenous people at these Canadian schools and how children were abused by the church and where the bodies were hidden. It's upsetting. Number 4, Porcelain War, which is actually, I recommend checking this one out. Porcelain War is about a couple of artists who also stay in Ukraine to help fight for their country. So in the daytime, they are carrying around machine guns and dropping bombs from drones. And in the evenings, they're making little porcelain sculptures. It's also worth noting they have a tiny dog named Frodo who has been on the awards circuit for this. And he is listed. I sent this to both Tom and Kyle. Frodo was listed as a panelist at South by Southwest or Sundance, one of them, and it's adorable. Frodo is wonderful. Number 3, Black Box Diaries, really moving film about this woman who basically recorded herself through her entire experience in this very pivotal rape trial in Japan, where the accuser, or sorry, she was the accuser, where the accused was like very close friends with the former Japanese prime minister, the one that got shot. And I'm going to say this. You watch this documentary and you're like, I get it. Number 2, soundtrack to a coup d'etat. Very much my shit. Just, that's all I'll say is very much my shit. But number 1 is No Other Land. It's, if you've heard of anything this year, you've heard of No Other Land, a joint documentary between a Palestinian citizen and an Israeli journalist that shot. It's a thing that you just watch and you're like, there's no excuse for anything I'm seeing here. It's probably going to win, and it's a hell of a picture if it does. Real urgent and real remarkable. This was a really good category this year. The doc features were very good this year, so I have no swaps. I know some people like really went to bat for things like Will and Harper, but this is it's a strong year. So I have no problem with these nominees.
All right. Well, Tom and Kyle said that they were both abstaining, so we'll roll right into the next category, which is Best Documentary Short Film. Who remembers what won last year?
Oh, this was The Last Repair Shop, right?
Correct.
I only
Nerd.
remember. Do you know what? No, the only reason I remember that is like it's a weird thing where last year I thought the doc shorts were mostly so not good that I remember saying like Last Repair Shop's number 1 because it's the only one that I think has any validity. This year though, not a bad lineup. There's one that I don't like. Now, Kyle, you said you watched these, right?
I sure did.
Okay, so I'm really excited to hear where they sit for you. My number 5 is I Am Ready, Warden. That one it did not sit with me well. Number 4 is The Only Girl in the Orchestra. Number 3, Death by Numbers. Number 2, Instruments of a Beating Heart. Here's what I'm going to say, folks. If you need a pick-me-up, seek out Instruments of a Beating Heart. It's just about a little first-grade girl in where is it, Kyle? Is it China?
Is it Tokyo?
Or is
Tokyo.
Okay. So it's been a while since I watched it. It's this little first-grade girl who just wants to learn to play the cymbal in their school concert of Ode to Joy. And the arc of this documentary is it's really hard to learn to play the drums, and the teacher's mean, but then she does it good, and he says, good job. It melts you. And it's also got that great thing where, like, when, like, Japanese children speak, and, like, clearly it sounds, if you understood the language, it sounds more commonplace, but when they translate it just sounds so serious. So it's just this little Japanese girl sitting down at her lunch table, and the subtitles will just read, life is full of disappointments. You're like, Jesus! But my number one is Incident, which is a really great doc short that everybody should seek out. You can find that on YouTube, by Bill Morrison, who is a filmmaker who actually has a film in the National Film Registry. So it ties back to what we do here. It's a film called Acacia in the Registry. Bill Morrison predominantly works with archival footage of old silent films. You can find like Dawson Frozen City, Decasia, these old silent films. But in this case, what he did is, that thing that happens when there's a police shooting and the police department is obligated to release the footage and release information. So what they do to spite you is they release way too much footage and information because they're like, fuck you, you're never going to sift through it fast enough. Bill Morrison sifts through it. Bill Morrison, with a kind of like neutral observatory eye, just stitches together all of this footage of the shooting, from the police body cams to security cameras to cell phone footage from bystanders at the time, and shows a remarkable portrait of not just the incident, but also the audio of these police officers coming up with the alibi for what happened. There is nothing more shocking when you watch this than to hear one officer say to the other, he pulled out a gun, right? He pulled out a gun. He pulled out a gun on you. And meanwhile, you've just seen the footage where that just does not happen. It's a hell of a film. And I'm sure that it's probably going to get beat out by something that has Netflix backing or a fancy producer backing, or something that has more narrative drive. But Incident is a really impressive film that I think, whether or not you care about these shorts categories, you should seek out. I did not get around to watching other doc shorts this year because it was just tricky. So I have nothing to swap in, even though at least one or two of these I could take or leave. Kyle.
So I was the complete opposite. No, just kidding. We're pretty similar actually. My number 5 is The Only Girl in the Orchestra. Number 4, I Am Ready, Warden. Number 3, Instruments of a Beating Heart. Number 2, Incident, and my number 1 pick was Death by Numbers. I was most excited about Death by Numbers going into this based on the little bit that I had read. If you don't know, it is Sam Fuentes, who is one of the Parkland shooting survivors, and her account of how she navigated life afterwards. And it's a pretty honest take. She is pretty direct in one of the scenes where she's like, I kind of wish I wasn't navigating any of this. Most school shootings end with the shooter killing themselves, and I wish I didn't have to go to trial. Like, I wish I didn't have to keep navigating this. And by the end of the film, she has an opportunity to speak directly to him, to confront him after this trial. It is a film that I think speaks to me as somebody who has written about the survivings or the survivor's guilt of a school shooting, and there was something. I mean, honestly, I really could have flipped either one of these between Incident and Death by Numbers, but there was something more impactful to me about being able to hear the aftermath from a survivor, rather than, an outside perspective needing to put all of these pieces together. And that is so tough for me to say too, because Incident is so goddamn impressive on its own. But for me personally, there's just something more impactful about somebody being able to not only utilize their voice after being a part of something unspeakable, but then having the courage to be that voice for so many others as well. So that's why Death by Numbers resonated with me the most.
All right, we are going to, unless Tom, did you have anything for this?
Nope.
One. Okay, cool. Me neither. I am under a rock. Let's see. We are moving on to Best Live Action Short. And before we kick that off, does anyone remember what won last year?
Ooh. No, I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm probably going to be mad when you say it because I will remember it.
It was The Wonderful Story.
Oh, God damn it. Yes, we should have all remembered that. It's the rare time Tom watched a short.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it was right. Because I know why. Because Tom blocked out the entire live action short category after The After last year. You guys remember that?
God.
Tom watched two shorts. One of them was The After, and he just described it to y'all. and it became the most replayed segment of last year's Oscar special. Apparently,
I do remember that.
people kept going, like rewinding it to hear Tom yell more about it. What a time! Well, Tom, you'll be happy
Good
to
grief.
hear. You'll be happy to hear. There's nothing this year that is the after. You'll be happy to hear. In fact, it's not a bad crop of live action shorts to me.
Not at all.
Number 5, I have The Last Ranger, which is fine. It's a little over dramatized for my liking, but that's fine. Number 4, I'm Not a Robot. It maybe doesn't know what to do with its premise, but the premise, I'll just say, is really great. I forget what country it's from, but it's a woman sitting in her office having to do one of those CAPTCHA tests, verify you're not a robot. And for whatever reason, she can't get the CAPTCHAs to work. And eventually is told, oh, that's because you're a robot. It's the existential dread of finding out you're not real because of CAPTCHA tests. So that's fun. Number 3, Anuja. I really like that one. That one's up on Netflix. But it is the kind of thing that, like, if it is a proof of concept for a feature film, you do want to see the feature film. Number 2, Alien. I don't know how to pronounce this. Alien. It's not alien because there's a space between the A and the L, but I don't know if I'm supposed to read it that way. That was almost my number 1, and it's oscillated. That's a really effective and potent 14-minute short about the real thing that ICE shows up at immigration offices on the day people have their appointments for their visas. It's really fucked up. And as I said in my Letterboxd review of it, really goes to show that we all have different ideas of morality, because personally, if that's what I did for a living, I would not be able to live with myself. But apparently some people can. But my number 1 is a really impressive short film called The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent. It is about a real incident that happened. I won't spoil it for people, honestly. I'm not even saying... Folks, if you take my word for anything when you check that out, please seek out The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent. Really impressive work, really moving, and I think really topical and timely in a great way. So I hope that wins, but it's a fine category. I can't be mad at any of these, and I did watch some of the other live action shorts that were shortlisted, and I thought they were not particularly good. So I'm leaving this category alone. Kyle?
Number 5, The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent.
Go fuck yourself. No, I'm kidding.
Number 4, I Am Not a Robot. Number 3, Anuha. Number 2, The Last Ranger. And my number 1 pick, Alien. Fuck. Like,
Yeah.
fuck. Like, that was the first one I watched, and I think, because I thought about it too. If I had probably watched them in a different order, I think The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent would have been higher for me. Starting with Alien, and starting with, what is it, essentially an endorsement of the next 4 years of that 15-minute clip.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Like, it's hard to really, as much as I was able to recognize the actual events within The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent, there is something more ominous and scary about what I don't know what Alien 2 would look like.
Yeah.
Like 2 years from now or 3 years from now. Like, it is haunting. So yeah, the rest of these picks are excellent shorts. They just did not have that gut punch moment for me that Alien had throughout. So, but yeah, I did like every single one of these. I was not, I was not unimpressed with any of them.
All right, we are moving on into the Best Animated Short Film category. Who remembers what won last year?
I remember. Do you remember, Kyle? Because you liked this one more than I did.
Shit!
War is Over, based on the music of John and Yoko.
It did win that one. Okay. I only loved it more of the technical elements of it. I truly don't remember anything about that film.
Well, it was based on the music of John and Yoko.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not just John?
No, John and Yoko. Okay, animated short this year. I'm excited for this one, if just because, quite frankly, I have felt, and everybody I have talked to has felt, and podcasts I've listened to have all been like, this is a good crop. There's one that I don't get. And apparently, Kyle is the one who gets it. We were texting yesterday, and I was like, well, we watched the shorts, and he goes, well, I said, Belle and I, my partner, I said, we agree on the one that we think is the worst. And he goes, what is that? And I went, this one. And he goes, interesting. So I'm like, great. You tell me why I should like it, because I don't get it. Number 5 is a short called Beautiful Men. That is a stop motion short about 3 brothers who go to Turkey to get hair transplants. Now, here's what I'm going to say. It's a stop motion short where you see a guy's penis. It's not the only one of the nominees that's true for. What a weird year. What a weird year. Number 4 is Yuck, a French animated short about little kids who discover kissing. It's this thing. It's kind of cute. It's like they discover that they're grossed out because every time people want to kiss, their lips glow pink and sparkly. And the one little boy who's very much like, that's gross, discovers that his lips have started to sparkle when he looks at one of the girls in his friend group. It's cute. I'm happy for you. Number 3 is a short called Wander to Wonder. It is a short I have been trying to get Tom to watch all season because it's a stop motion animated horror film. It's the other movie that a dick is in. I'm going to spoil it a bit now. The entire premise of this short is we start off seeing a British children's show from like the 80s where a live action man is talking to 3 stop motion puppet creatures. And he's just like, oh, hello, we're going to have an adventure today. And then we fast forward. It's now presumably modern day. The man who makes the show has died in his shed. And these 3 puppets have been sentient the whole time, and they're losing their minds. One of whom has stripped down full dick out naked and has just started yelling once more into the breach, and there is no God. Another keeps making confessional cries to the camera. One of the best is that, again, slight spoiler, is they run out of food. So one of them suggests, oh, there's all these dead flies around. We can eat them. Cut to one of the puppets sadly singing into camera, remember, children, don't eat flies, as they all vomit profusely. Tom, there is death, there is murder, there is puppet nudity, there is madness. I have been trying to get you to watch it all year. Please, before the Oscars itself, Wander to Wonder is going to be great for you. But it is my number 3 because In the Shadow of the Cypress really hit for me. A genuinely beautiful and moving silent animated film about suffering from PTSD. But my number 1 is Magic Candies. It's very sweet, very touching. It's a stop motion Japanese animated film. I loved the film itself, but I also wanted to win for more reasons. Like last year, a lot of us wanted Godzilla -1 to win for visual effects, not just because of the visual effects, because how cool would it be for Godzilla to win an Oscar? Similarly, Magic Candies is made by Toei Animation, the legendary Japanese animation studio that gave us fucking Sailor Moon and shit. And the director of Magic Candies is Daisuke Nishio, who directed a large amount of those Dragon Ball Z animated features, and also Interstellar 5555, the fucking Daft Punk anime movie. That man should have 17 Oscars already. I want him to get one. So Magic Candies is my number 1. I have one swap, and Kyle's going to be mad. I do swap out Beautiful Men. And I'm going to say this. Tom is going to back me up on this one, despite not watching any of these. Because Don Hertzfeld had an animated short this year called Me. Yeah. And it's a 20-minute silent musical dystopian vision. So I'm sorry, bald guys with your dicks out in Turkey. Don Hertzfeld's Me is getting my swap. Kyle, explain to me why I should like the bald men.
Okay, so let me give you my rankings first, because number 5 is In the Shadow of the Cypress.
Wow.
Number 4 is Yuck.
Okay.
Number 3 is Magic Candies. Number 2 is Beautiful Men, and my number 1 pick was Wander to Wonder. Beautiful Men. I love the interpersonal relationships of those brothers. Mm-hmm. I think they are all obviously there for... I mean, I read a little bit of the director talking about it. He was inspired by his own trip in Turkey and looking at these men who should have otherwise been in a good mood and should have been like celebrating this trip together, but they were very solemn and sunken and just not connected, and he sort of thought about his own insecurities and like the reason that so many men go for that procedure, and watching the three of them go for a similar reason, and even though all of them get what they get the treatment at the end, but they are not left with the same resolution. I think some people end up making it out better than others. Bert has to, gets his hair, but potentially has testicular cancer. Like, that is one insecurity replaced by another. His brother, who makes the appointment, would rather feel sorry that he fucked up and only made one appointment instead of the three for the whole fucking trip. And sort of the backstory behind that, and trying to wonder, how often this sort of showed up in their relationship, and like why in this moment it was like that breaking moment for the two of them. I just think similarly to Anora, it kind of just throws you in without a whole lot of exposition, and it kind of comes in and out, does what it needs to do. But Wander to Wonder was still my favorite. It's still that ending shot after they lose their fucking minds, and seeing that there is a fucking like light at the end of this door, a possibility that maybe all of this madness and suffering wasn't for naught. You don't know if they go out there, but there's that glimmer of hope that maybe the madness isn't all for the sake of suffering. And there was even a glimmer of hope for me in Wander to Wonder, which is why it resonated for me.
Kyle, it's that important message that all movies need to tell us. There is a light at the end of the tunnel if you just look past the beheaded pigeon. Tom, this is so your movie. Anyway.
It really is. No, it slaps.
Take us to the next category, Amanda.
All right, we are moving on to Best Animated Feature. Who remembers what won last year?
Boy and the Heron, right?
Oh, yes, Boy and the Heron, yes.
Oh, hell yeah. Nice, yeah.
Yes, it beat out half a Spider-Verse. Okay, we're all going on this one, but I'll go first. Spider-Verse, but part 2 of Across the Spider-Verse, which definitely came out this year, was great, right?
It was supposed to come out last year.
Jesus Christ.
It's supposed to be March 24th.
What a nightmare.
Yep.
Okay. My number 5 is Inside Out 2. I didn't hate it, but I don't know. It felt too pandery, and I'm very grossed out by pandering. So when you make anxiety a character, I'm like, don't need it. Number 4, Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul. I enjoyed it. I do think it's the weaker of the two Wallace and Gromit feature films. But listen, I'm never going to fight getting to see Feathers McGraw. And the goddamn bit where Feathers turns around and he has the seal like Blofeld's cat kills me. I'm sorry, it kills me. Number 3, and here's what I'll say. The fact that this is number 3 is a testament to how good a year it is. Number 3 is Memoir of a Snail, which any other year I'm going to bat for that bad boy. Number 2 is The Wild Robot. This was the last movie I watched of my Oscars viewing, and I cried several times. That movie is very special, and I love the hell out of it. Long neck sacrificed for all of us. Legitimately, that is... I texted Tom as I was watching it. There is some goddamn acting going on in that movie. When I'm just gonna go, when fucking Longneck says to him, she's the reason you're here, and Bright Bill says, oh yeah, I know. No, you don't. Just like, hell yeah, goddamn. But my number 1 is Flow. I saw that early on, and that is just a miracle of a movie. That just moves me profound, because it's like the whole movie you're watching, and you're like, oh, this is a nifty trick. It's like a silent film. Can I follow it? And you get invested in the story. And then that ending that purposefully, beautifully, I wouldn't say undercuts the triumph, but just reminds you that everything in life is a balance, right? And that though these animals have survived, what does that do to the water creatures? It's a knockout of a film. So Flow is my number 1. I am swapping one out. I'm swapping out Inside Out 2 for a film called Look Back by Kiyotaka Oshiyama. This is an anime film that is, you guys, it's on Amazon Prime. Seek it out. It got some of the best reviews of the year, which is why I eventually got around to seeing it. A really impressive film that is only 58 minutes long, but packs more emotion in it than anything most of the major studios have put out in a decade. So if you have Amazon Prime, I won't spoil it, but it's about these two girls who want to be manga artists. It's really moving. Look Back is replacing Inside Out 2, but otherwise I keep that in my ranking. Tom?
All right, so this is going to be quite interesting because we have literally the same ranking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Inside Out 2 is my number 5. Disney just cannot stop stepping on its own dick anymore. Just movie after movie, it's just pale, deathly pale imitations of past glories. This movie feels like one of those direct-to-video movies they used to put out. Bambi 2! Okay, sure, whatever. Yeah, anxiety, whatever. I mean, at least have the fucking decency being the biggest fucking entertainment conglomerate in the world, owning 33% of the industry, and just make it that Riley wants to be a lesbian with that older girl. She so clearly wants to fucking live in that snatch that it's just so fucking phony and disingenuous that it's just, no, she's just so good at hockey, I want to be like her. No, you want to wear her up to your elbow. That's all you want. Stop playing with this shit. It's just, and also you can't pay Bill Hader, and I'm like, listen, I love Bill Hader. This isn't a slam on Bill Hader, but you're not paying Tom Cruise level money. You're not paying Downey Jr. returning as Doctor Doom level money for Bill Hader. Really, I need Tony Hale. Nothing against Tony Hale, he's fine, but he's not Bill Hader. Fucking clown dicks abound. Number 4, yes.
I just want to say I got really into the whole queer baiting part. I just wanted to verify for the audience. I probably would not have phrased it exactly as Tom did.
No, because you're not an animal.
No one would. No one else alive would do that.
Because you're not an animal.
But I got very excited.
No one.
As I've said before on this show, Italians should be not let out in public.
No one who is conscious that they are on a microphone would phrase it the way Tom did.
But I do agree.
She wants that push.
Enough.
Wants that push.
Please, God, talk about another film.
Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. Not an atrocity or anything. It just didn't connect with me. I find the character designs of all the humans genuinely unpleasant. Wallace makes my skin crawl. He looks like he belongs on a list. I hate the fucking voices. Oh, hello, Gromit. We're going to have toast today. It's like, I just someone shoot him, please. Feathers, just shoot him.
With his realistic gun.
With his real gun. Shoot him and put him out of my misery. The dog is cool. Feathers is cool. That's about it. It's fine. It's cute. Whatever. Memoir of a Snail. I saw it Fantastic Fest. That shit, shit rocks. This is like one of those kinds of movies I talk about all the time where I wish American animation had the balls in the Fantasia failed universe we live in of, we can make things that aren't just like, oh, what if I was a kid and I didn't admit that I was gay for a hockey player? Like this is so, it's kind of unpleasant, but on purpose aesthetically. But I think it's just so genuinely emotional and insightful about the human condition, and I think it's so much more mature than it really you would expect a stop motion movie to be. And also, in this one, you get stop motion nudity in this one too.
Yeah, and you get Sarah Snook. So one more, one more. Succession actor. In the Oscars this year.
The Clay people love just hanging dong and flashing tits, man. What a year. Number 2 is another Fantastic Fest film I saw, The Wild Robot. Great movie. I said it to Mike when he was texting me about watching it. When DreamWorks actually tries to just be like, to make real movies and not just reference marathons, they make really good shit. How to Train Your Dragon trilogy is some of my favorite American animation of all time. I know the Puss in Boots, the second one, people really talk about as if it's The Bad Guys is another one. When they try, this is just yeah, you can clearly see the influences, Iron Giant, Wall-E, stuff like that, but it makes it its own. Don't really love the action climax. It feels like it kind of becomes more of a traditional movie at that point, but I think overall it's just a fantastic movie. And obviously number one is Flow. This may be the ultimate example of something that's not from fucking Ghibli, that's just visually stunning and is narratively bold. Silent movie. None of the animals are voiced by Jack Black, so thank Christ. Um, it's just a special movie. It's just I said to Mike, that cat was stressing me out more than fucking horror movies do, man. I was fucking stressing out like you couldn't believe. I wanted that cat to be okay more than anything in the world. I thought this movie was just I mean, really, like, special shit right here. Really didn't see anything else other than there's one movie I saw at Fantastic Fest that's an animated movie that I'm going to swap Inside Out 2 for. It is, I believe, Swedish or Norwegian. I can't remember.
God damn it, I know where this is going.
It is a movie called Spermageddon, and it is about a boy who is who loses his virginity on a camping trip, and we cut to inside of him, Osmosis Jones style, as the sperms inside of him try to get out of his urethra and fertilize the girl's egg. And it is absolute deranged nonsense. It is also a musical. There is a Busby Berkeley style musical at the end about how abortions are great. It is. It's fucking psychotic. Even Fantastic Fest crowd was like, what the fuck is going on here? So much better than Inside Out 2, and actually is honest about sexuality, so fuck you, Inside Out 2.
Number 5 for me, Inside Out 2. Number 4, Wallace and Gromit. Number 3, The Wild Robot. Number 2, Flow. And my number 1 pick was Memoir of a Snail.
Whoa!
Whoa! I saw a screening at the Museum of Moving Image. The director was there for a Q&A. And to this day, I still think about one of the things that he said. If you have any advice for making movies or just doing anything creative, what advice do you have? And without any shred of irony in his voice, he looked and he said, well, you should hire people on the spectrum, because they always show up on time. They always want to help. Like, they're always just so committed to the craft, and it's a level of dedication, especially with stop motion, that is taken for granted, especially like a dying medium. And it was like, it went from one of those like, oh, and then like once he explained himself, people were like, oh, okay, wow. And like this very like genuine like moment. And between watching that and that just the actual film itself resonating with me, I fucked with Memoir of a Snail hard. Nothing against the cat. We love the cat very much. But we got to give some snail love here.
Kyle, have you seen any of his other work?
No, I need to. They did a screening all through the weekend that they were showing it, but I was too busy to go and see any of his shorts.
He won an Oscar for animated short back in like 2002 for a film called Harvey Crumpet that I really recommend. Seek that out.
Yeah, I'll have that one out.
And do you know what Memoir of a Snail has that we wish Gladiator 2 had? Nick Cave.
What?
Sarah Snook.
Nick Cave.
All of those
things. This is true.
Next.
Okay, I'm still kind of recovering from the recap of Spermageddon.
Unbelievable anal sex joke in Spermageddon 2. So fucking funny. Holy shit.
This is going to be the clip that people go back to, the way that they did him describing the after to us. But our next category is Best International Feature. Who remembers what won last year?
Oppenheimer?
It was his thing. So, Zone of Interest.
Correct.
There we go.
Right. Because France didn't submit Anatomy of a Fall for international feature, which was insane.
Imbeciles. This is why the French are mistakes.
Like, again, I like Zone of Interest. No, but I like Zone of Interest more, but it's just wild that it wasn't even nominated. Okay. So here's an interesting thing that I'm going to say about international feature. There's a movie that's my number 4 that I watched. It was the last one I watched out of the international feature nominees. And I remember watching it and going, this is good, but like, it's going to be my number 5. And then I remembered that Emilia Perez is in international feature. So my number 5 is Emilia Perez. My number 4 is The Girl with the Needle. Here's what I'm going to say. Again, I know a lot of this is just me saying, Tom, you should watch this. But I'm saying this with the Girl with the Needle especially because, Tom, it took me a while to get to Girl with the Needle because I'm going to be honest with you. Title doesn't say a lot. You see the poster for it and you're like, okay, it's some Dutch girl. You even read the plot synopsis, and the plot synopsis is like a woman in World War I Copenhagen tries to survive after her husband returns from war. And you're like, this is going to be a nice little drama. Settle in for a nice little drama. And then you find out it's a psychological horror movie that is upsetting and based on a true story. And it's about murdering babies. What the fuck was that movie? My God. It's quite a picture to take in. It's
Maybe
yeah.
Nigel Powers was right to not trust the Dutch.
It's it's wild. Number 3, Seed of the Sacred Fig. In a year that doesn't have these other 2 nominees, I'd be riding for that hard. It's a little long. I won't deny it's a little long, but it rips. It's a psychological thriller. Again, in this case, the matter of this man who in his country they don't identify judges and they don't identify judges so that their families can't be harassed, but his identity gets leaked, and also someone in his family may have stolen his gun. It's really tense. It's really good, folks, if you haven't seen it. My number 2 is I'm Still Here. We already talked about it in Best Picture, but I got to give it up. My number 1 is Flow. That's just It's not gonna win both, but I would love for it to win both animated and international and just shock the shit out of everybody because it's just a special movie. I do have a swap here, which is I am swapping out Emilia Perez for Kneecap. Kyle already talked about it up top. That movie does rip. That movie's a good time. So I got to give that love to Kneecap.
Hell yeah.
Anybody else, or are we moving on?
Oh no, I can go. My number 5 was Emilia Perez. Number 4, The Seed of the Sacred Fig. Number 3 was The Girl with the Needle. Number 2 was I'm Still Here, and my number 1 was Flow. See, we give cat love here.
There we go.
Cats and seeds here. So yeah, The Girl with the Needle was crazy. Stumbled on it on accident. Movie caught me with the $3 or the $1 for 3-month subscription, and then they're like, have you watched this movie? I'm like, oh wait, this is nominated for an Oscar this year. Very much your shit, Tom. I think I can give you a gifted link if you want to watch a good
For which one?
Girl with the Needle.
Girl with the Needle.
Oh,
yeah, it's
okay.
very much your shit.
I feel like Sacred Fig was at Fantastic Fest, but was just one of those things where it didn't match up with like how I was scheduling things.
Yeah,
or it might have just played the day I just decided to get drunk and watch football and not watch movies.
Fair.
I don't know. Also, just got to say, us, unlike Inside Out 2, we like the cat.
Anyway, Amanda, what's our next category, buddy?
Tom, I love you. I hope that comes across every time that we get to do something like this.
Having video was the best idea I ever had for contributing to this podcast, because I love watching you people react to my nonsense.
Our next category is Best Costume Design. Does anyone remember what won last year?
Yeah, probably went to fucking Poor Things.
It was Poor Things.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay. Good win.
Sure. Okay.
What are you mad about Poor Things now all of a sudden?
No, it wasn't that. I don't remember exactly, but I just remember it being a thing where it was like Poor Things just had this sweep where I think there was just this energy of like, okay, yeah, we got it. You like Poor Things Academy. My criteria for costumes, I'm Tom and I were talking about this before. I tend to lean toward I'm a little harder on period pieces in this category because, quite frankly, if there's photographs of the clothes that you're replicating, I give you a little less than I give people who have to make up new characters or new looks, right? Or even revised looks. So that being said, my number 5 is Conclave, because you don't even need to design. You can just go to the Vatican. They look like that now. You can just go there. Not only that,
it's happening. It's happening, man.
Not only that, I'm not trying to be harsh here. I know this is going to sound very ignorant, but there is a part of me that's like, well, best costume design. You had to design one costume. And then just said, make this in Stanley Tucci size. and then make this in John Lithgow size.
Hey,
You
hey,
had to design one costume. What
Hey,
are we
listen, that is difficult because Tucci is a tiny man and Lithgow is quite a fella. He's what you might describe as a hoss.
doing? I'm being hyperbolic, but anyway. Number
I
4.
know.
Number 4, A Complete Unknown. Again,
That's just a nonsense nomination. I'm sorry.
hey guys, if being able to replicate the way Bob Dylan dressed in the 60s gets you an Oscar, I should have gotten an Oscar when I was 15. What are we doing?
Or anybody in Brooklyn.
Number 3, Gladiator 2. What? I'm going to be honest. I'm not saying the costumes were bad. I'm also just partly mad that because of this one nomination, I had to watch Gladiator 2.
It's all because of Denzel. I gotta be honest. Yeah. That's probably why.
Number 2, Nosferatu. Yeah, no matter how people feel about the movie itself, like you got to give it up to Eggers in those technical categories. But my number 1 is Wicked. I just think like that movie is on a technical level. I'm really enjoying it. I love the look. I think especially for the fact that, it would be very easy to kind of dismiss this as like, well, you had costumes. The costumes don't look like the stage costumes, and part of that is a lot of those costumes on stage would look like absolute dog shit on camera. So. I really give it up to the technical team. A lot of heart went into that. However, I'm going to have 2 swaps here. I am swapping out A Complete Unknown for, to say it, Joker Folie à Deux.
You fucking jerk off.
My God. Especially those costumes during the musical sequences, the fantasy sequences. I give it up to Joker Folie à Deux. And also, but wait, I'm swapping out Conclave for what is really the Titanic achievement in costuming this year. Do you know where I'm going with this, Tom?
I have a feeling.
Listen, there is a very, very distinct look to those beaver costumes. Ergo, swap out Conclave for hundreds of beavers. Those are my swaps for best costume design. Anybody else want to go?
Yeah, I did see all of these. So, A Complete Unknown is my number 5. An absolute nonsense nomination. Just absolutely laughable. Number 2, Gladiator 2.
You mean number 4, Gladiator 2?
Number 4, Gladiator 2, excuse me. Yeah, number 4, Gladiator 2. It's all because of Denzel's work. Because otherwise, everything else is just warmed over leftovers from fucking the first Gladiator, design-wise. Like, who gives a shit? Number 3 is Conclave. Yeah, it's all just, we can see it, but you know what? It's nice to look at on the eyes, so whatever. I'll give it its 3 slot.
It was a good one costume.
It's a good one costume. It's like, one of those posters where you have to cross your eyes to see the picture. It's nice. It made me feel like I was losing my mind during the movie without drinking too, so that's always a plus. Number 2, I'm gonna give it to Wicked. I know that you could really just coin toss these top 2. Number 1 is Nosferatu, and that's honestly, it's mainly the Orlok stuff, because I know we talk about the historical, like if you look at the past, and Eggers is such a research freak, so it really just looks like he got in a time machine and got clothes from 1820s Germany, but it's the Orlok stuff that really elevates it to me to, we now have like a new iconic monster, and I gotta give him credit for that. But I am swapping out 4. It's another massive sweep for me. Complete Unknown, Gladiator 2, Conclave, Wicked. Goodbye, you're done. I'm putting in Anora because they had to really, like, you get to know the characters, especially her, through the way she dresses, and even Igor and in Vanya. I think the look of that movie is fantastic. Furiosa, I mean, George Miller's imagination, again, fully on display in that movie. Number 3, The Substance. I mean, when the whole thing is about the look of the characters and how they dress and all of this, you can't ignore the substance in this category, especially those like neon leotards they're wearing. And number 4, this is going to be a shocker, but it's hundreds of beavers, baby. Let's fucking go. There's so many goddamn beavers. And when you hit them in the head, their fucking eyes get X's on them. It fucking rules.
Jesus. Look, here's the thing, folks. It's called Best Costume Design. Best Costume Design. It's singular. It can only go. It can only go to Conclave. So that's why my number one pick is Conclave, and you all just fucking lost your rules. No, it's a mix of both. My number 5 was Conclave. My number 4 was Gladiator. Number 3 was A Complete Unknown. Number 2, Nosferatu, and my number 1 pick is Wicked. Honest to God, you could really swap Wicked or Nosferatu, but with some of these technical categories, I kind of gotta go less with my gut and more with what feels right, and the Wicked
So, with your
designs
gut.
feel more in contention. Yeah, sure.
So, the complete opposite of what you just said. Okay, great.
It's fair. Yeah, it's fair.
Glad we're giving you real estate to talk about your feelings and emotions in a logical way.
Thank you. Well, this isn't. Well, I don't talk about my feelings here. This is the last place I would do that. No, but no, Wicked makes the most logical sense to me. But yeah, let's see if I change my mind in the next category.
Next.
All right, we are moving right along to best makeup and hairstyling. Who remembers what won last year?
Want to bet they gave it to Poor Things?
It's Poor Things.
Correctamundo.
It's Poor Things.
Oh wait, okay, hold on. Just because he's getting this attitude about Poor Things now, you have it up. What was nominated in that category that he's going to say should have won over Poor Things?
For makeup, yeah.
Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Society of the Snow.
Okay, what's better than Poor Things in that category? Come
Society of the Snow. Tom,
no,
hang on. You had to. Excuse me. The makeup work on Society of the Snow had to show you bodies that are being progressively fucking eaten. Okay?
Did you see Willem Dafoe's face?
Yeah, I saw it. Good for Poor Things. Great for Poor Things. How nice.
You are such a prissy little bitch today. Did anybody feed you?
Okay. So makeup and hairstyling. My number 5 is Emilia Perez, because what the fuck, man?
Stop, she's already dead.
Like, I know. Listen, I know that that's harsh, but there is a thing where, like, I don't mind if you want to say that movie is lower budget or whatever. Like, I would not have made fun of, like, when Carla Gascon is in the, like, cartel guy getup. I wouldn't have made fun of it. I'm like, listen, not every movie is going to focus on the makeup. But when you put it up for best makeup and hairstyling, what the fuck are we doing? So number 5, Emilia Perez. Number 4, Wicked. Because the rest of these are just superb makeup work. This is tough. These 3 have genuinely swapped around a lot for me. But right now, number 3, A Different Man. Though that prosthetic work they do on Sebastian Stan is incredible. Number 2, Nosferatu. And number 1, The Substance. And this was a tough call for me, because I think if you turned around to me and you showed me still images and you said, which prosthetic work looks better, I would go with Nosferatu. However, the storytelling that gets done with the makeup work throughout The Substance. I know it's a cliche in a way when people do, like, the New York's almost a character. The makeup and prosthetics in Substance are another character in that movie. And so I commend it for that. I've got 2 swaps here. I'm taking out Emilia Perez for The Apprentice. I thought they did great work on that. And I am taking out Wicked for, get this, Furiosa. That's right, Tom. I mentioned Furiosa as well. That means at least 2 people remember that film this year.
Damn shame.
That is just a memory hold motion picture.
Yeah, because people are dumb and we should be wiped off the face of the earth. That's fine. My number 5 is Emilia Perez. Keep kicking that bitch while she's down. Number 4 is A Different Man. I'm putting that one at number 4, mainly because, yeah, the work on Sebastian Stan is very impressive, but it's not done any favors when you actually have Adam Pearson in the movie and you actually, like, see, like, what somebody with that affliction, looks like and how they talk and move and everything. So it's kind of just, it's, like, not done any favors. Mm-hmm. But, whatever. Number 3 is Wicked. Number 2 is The Substance. Number 1 is Nosferatu. I don't disagree with anything you said about The Substance, but I just think for me, the Count Orlok stuff is just so transformative. It's so like it really feels like it's there. Which not as knock against The Substance, but Monstro Elisasu, you don't ever believe is like a real thing that's moving around. You're just kind of going with the insanity. Where Orlok is just that is a guy. That is a guy that yeah, it's only one swap for me. I'm taking out Emilia Perez and I'm putting in Furiosa.
Hey. My number 5 is Emilia Perez. Number 4, A Different Man. Number 3, Nosferatu. Number 2, Wicked. And my number 1 pick is The Substance.
Kyle, did you remember Furiosa came out this year?
I did, yeah. I remember us talking about the box office during Memorial Day weekend, and I think the strikes were still going on, or we were still talking about, I don't know, some sort of box office slump or whatever that weekend. But yeah, it was a good indication of the rest of that summer, because I think Deadpool and Wolverine was really the only one that made a shit ton of money that summer.
What's next, Amanda?
Next is Best Production Design.
Ooh.
Do you want to guess?
Another Poor Things?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's Poor Things.
Good for you, Yorgos. Have a good time.
Yorgos.
Okay, my number 5. My number 5 is Conclave. So sure. Number 4 is The Brutalist. Even though, you know, building is cool. I'm surprised. But number 3, Dune Part 2. Number 2, Nosferatu. And number 1, Wicked. I actually don't need to say that much about the production design for Wicked, because all the stuff I was planning to say, Amanda took the words out of my mouth when she was discussing Wicked in Part 1. So go back to that. But I really came to appreciate the production design of Wicked when you consider, like, you had to render something that is, for the most part, in a stage show where you're working with flats, you're working with not that much scenery. There's like one giant metal dragon, and the rest of this is like, you know, flats and shit. To really make that world come alive in a way that's both reminiscent of Wizard of Oz, but also unique and distinct in its own right. You really feel like credit where credit is due to Universal on this one. They really didn't get in the way of that team. And the other thing is so much of that is practical. So much of that is practical, and more than you might even think. Not because it looks fake, but just because in your brain, you're like, okay, so how much of this is CGI because it's all CGI now? And you find out, no, Universal put their money, give them credit, they put their money, I mean, and that's true for my number 2 as well, Nosferatu, different type of movie, but credit where credit is due. Both of those were cases where the productions put their money where their mouth was in terms of tactile production design. And we really don't get that a lot. So it needs to be credited when it happens. I am doing one swap, and it's for a movie you really wouldn't think of in this category. But I'm swapping out Conclave for Queer. On its surface, you might look at Queer and think like the production design is pretty basic, but there are so many points, especially interiors, where those bedrooms are designed and decorated in such a surreal way. A lot of people use the term Lynchian. I don't want to necessarily throw that around, but it really just, it feels unreal in a very pointed way. And so I wanted to give some credit to the production design on Queer, but that's my production design lineup.
Okay, so my number 5 is Conclave. My number 4 is The Brutalist. My number 3 is Wicked. My number 2 is Dune Part 2. My number 1 is Nosferatu. Nobody does it like Eggers. The man is maybe the most transportative director working today, maybe of all time. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that's gets that feeling of his movies where it feels like you've been transported, like literally beamed back in time to the era of the movie that he's telling you, and not just like in how it looks and everything, just like the feel and the tone and like the way people talk and believe and all of that shit. Nosferatu is, again, like Orlok, the look of this movie is so transformative, and Jesus Christ, the man is so dedicated to fucking accuracy and all this shit. Orlok's castle is a place where Vlad the Impaler was actually imprisoned for a time. So like, come on, like this guy, he's my kind of guy. I'm doing 2 swaps. Conclave, the Brutalist, goodbye. I'm putting in Furiosa, and I'm putting in Hundreds of Beavers, baby. Hell yeah, Hundreds of Beavers. Because see, you needed to design a place where it was believable that there was hundreds of beavers, and
Well, and
they achieved.
also, what category do you really put in beavers forming a giant mecha beaver? Is that
I
costume
mean,
or is that production design? We don't know.
I
So
think
you might as well
that's
cover your
why.
bases,
Yeah, like you got to give this movie as many technical. I'm genuinely being serious right now. This movie should have been like in every technical category because it is a miracle movie. The bit is now done. I'm being serious. This movie is kind of a miracle.
Kyle, what about you?
Number 5, Conclave. Number 4, Nosferatu. Number 3, Dune Part 2. Number 2, The Brutalist. And my number 1 pick was Wicked.
All right, we are moving on into the best sound category. Does anyone remember what won last year?
Oppenheimer.
It was hella
Zone
Oppenheimer.
of
I feel like it was
interest.
Oppenheimer. Maybe
Oh,
it
that's
wasn't
right.
that.
Zone of interest. Yes.
Because that was the
Yeah,
one.
Oh,
that's a good win.
You guys were riding hard for Oppenheimer, but last year on the special, even you guys were giving me like, no, I got to give you Zone of Interest should win Best Sound. That's what that whole movie comes down to.
No, that is a good win. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool win. Okay, my rankings for Best Sound. Number 5, Emilia Perez, because sometimes,
Kicker.
well, legitimately, sometimes the sound mixing in that movie is genuinely bad, like legitimately bad. In a surprising way. Number 4, Dune Part 2. Number 3, The Wild Robot. Number 2, Wicked. And number 1, A Complete Unknown. When we're talking about sound and sound mixing, yes, Tom, I know you don't like music biopics, but when you're talking about sound and sound mixing, the way that the actual like sound mixing is done on that film is really great. Everything is balanced really well, and it's very impressive the way that it carries. I'm doing one swap. I'm swapping out Emilia Perez for Joker Foley Ado.
fully a dumb.
You really are such a chode.
What
God damn it.
the world needs.
The sound is bad in that movie. What are you talking about?
I disagree. Tom, what's your rankings?
I'm gonna beat you with an NPR pamphlet, bro. I'm gonna bury you. God damn it. Seriously, hope I don't ever get cancer.
With an NPR pamphlet. Tom, what
Yeah.
is your ranking for sound?
Emilia Perez, Wicked, A Complete Unknown, The Wild Robot, Dune Part 2. Swapping out 4. I'm putting in Nosferatu, Furiosa, Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, and Hundreds of Beavers.
You said the bit was done!
No!
You lied!
No, I said the bit of me pretending like I was being a stinker. I'm legit putting this up as options for swaps. Like, I'm genuinely serious. The technical craft in this movie is out of control.
Okay. That's fair. Best sound for me, number 5, Emilia Perez. Number 4, The Wild Robot. Number 3, A Complete Unknown. Number 2, Wicked. And my number 1 pick was Dune Part 2. Something about that IMAX 70mm. Fucking, oof. Jesus.
All right, we are moving on into Best Original Song, which is one of the last of our 5. Okay, we're going to take that back. We've got 5 categories left, folks, and the next one is Best Original Song. Who remembers what won last year?
That Billie Eilish song from Barbie that wasn't very good.
What was I made for?
Do you remember the fucking deflation in the room when the I'm Just Ken performance came on and rocked the fucking house? And every soul in that audience and watching on TV was like, that is the song that should win the Oscar. And then they went, and it goes to Billie Eilish for the second time.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. No, they fucked up. That was the
So
biggest plight last year.
I don't normally try and like force anybody to check out categories, but I did beg Kyle to actually check out the original songs this year because I didn't want
He
to be
did.
alone on this one. Because Tom doesn't care about the original song category. He
Not a
says
wink.
every year I don't care about it, and the amazing thing is this year he's right. Don't care about it. It's bad. It's so
Yeah.
bad that this year is an argument to just not have the category every year. That's how dire this is. There is not a good song in the bunch, and it's staggering. Um, Here's the crazier thing. We've been saying a bit that most of the music in Emilia Perez, not very good, right? Not very good. It is an indictment of this year that my number one is a song from Emilia Perez because that's the year this was. It's upsetting. Number 5, The Journey from 6888. Diane Warren has been nominated for an Oscar every fucking year for writing some song from some movie that you didn't see. Last year, it was for the Flamin' Hot Cheetos movie. The year before that, it was for a movie that nobody saw called Tell It Like a Woman. Every year, Diane Warren has been nominated. Now, you would think her receiving an honorary Oscar would stop this, but no. They keep nominating her every year for songs from movies that don't exist, and this one is the least existent. Number 4, Never Too Late, from the movie Elton John, Never Too Late. Fun fact, y'all, this is not the first time Elton John has written a song for a movie called Never Too Late. Elton John was shortlisted for an Oscar in 2019 for the song Never Too Late from the live action Lion King. He has written a song with that title before. What are we fucking doing? Number 3, El Mal from Emilia Perez. That's the only song that they play in the marketing, but as I said during our Emilia Perez segment in the roundtable in part 1, that song undercuts itself with that very awkward Carlos Sofia Gascon opera stuff. It's not very good. It seems flashy and it convinces you it's good, but that song in isolation is not very good. Number 2, Like a Bird from Sing Sing, because it's fine. It gets number 2 because it's fine. And number 1, Mi Camino from Emilia Perez, because that is the only song out of Emilia Perez that is a real song that you can listen to start to finish and not say, what the fuck was that? So I, in terms of swaps, am wiping the fucking board. And I got news for you. I'm wiping the board, and some of the songs I'm swapping in, I don't really like that much. That's how bad this year was. I'm wiping the board. Make the nominees Sick in the Head from Kneecap, which rules.
Damn straight.
Make the song Kiss the Sky from The Wild Robot, the song that plays when she's teaching the duck to fly. Goose, my apologies, the goose to fly, because that's nice. Winter Coat from Blitz, because that's fine. Beyond from Moana 2, a movie that's not great with a soundtrack that's not great, but that's how bad it is. And number 5, Fuck It, Piece by Piece from the Pharrell Lego movie, because it's
There
fine.
it is.
It's fine. What a terrible category. Kyle.
I don't know if you can nominate "Sick in the Head" because I don't think it's original to this
It was
song.
shortlisted for original song. Then again, so was the Robbie Williams song from Better Man. That's a blatant ripoff of a Jim Croce song, but it was shortlisted, so I'll count it.
That's crazy. Yeah, that would have been ineligible. That's probably why. Let's see. Best original song, El Mal, number 5. Number 4, Never Too Late. Number 3, Mi Camino. Number 2, The Journey. And number 1, Like a Bird. Now, I need to be clear. The Journey I listened to, and it probably is the one. I don't know the issue with Diane Warren. All I heard was there was a song from her that was nominated this year. And I'm like, I like her. I like her just fine. So I listened to it, and I said, wow. Her's got chops on this. As a song, The Journey is very bland. Like a Bird is my favorite of this bunch, but it is not a song. It feels more just like a bop, just kind of something I'm playing in the background while I'm navigating in my commute. And I just don't care for the Emilia Perez stuff as much. And I do concur that the Elton John song objectively is pretty weak. So yeah, I didn't care for this category. I don't think it's egregious, but none of these are strong picks. especially coming after I'm Just Ken. I mean, shit. I would even say even the Billie Eilish song is better than all of these. So I mean, maybe not all of them, but most of them.
Alrighty, well, with that ringing endorsement for that category, let's move right into the next one, which is Best Original Score. Bonus points for anyone who remembers what won last
It's
year.
Oppenheimer, baby. I own that shit. Oh, it's such a good on vinyl.
Points to Kyle.
Yay.
All right, so my picks for original score. Number 5, Emilia Perez. Number 4, Wicked. I know a lot of people are confused about like how could Wicked be up for score. I don't know about Emilia Perez, but credit with Wicked, there is actually a score to it, and one of the interesting things about it, even though I'm ranking it so low, one of the interesting things about it is that Steven Schwartz like went in and composed a score for this film where he incorporates songs that will appear in part 2 as motifs in part 1. It was very smartly done. So I'm not taking that away. I want to make sure that that's clear. There is a score to Wicked, unlike the people who are just like, well, but it's a musical, it's not a score. Anyway, number 3, Conclave. Number 2, The Wild Robot. And number 1, The Brutalist. I feel like The Brutalist is like an undeniable score this year. And it's also the only score this year that really sticks with you after the movie, at least of the nominees. I am swapping out 2. I am swapping out Emilia Perez for the movie that should be taking home the Oscar this year, Challengers. Hey, Academy. The movie Challengers came out this year. Did you know that? What the fuck, guys? That's the one that's the most egregious snub of all. But swapping out Emilia Perez for Challengers, and I'm swapping out Wicked for Baby Girl. That's right. I watched Baby Girl. Is it a particularly remarkable movie? No. Is the score good? Yes. So fine. Baby Girl.
All right. Emilia Perez, Wicked, The Wild Robot, Conclave, and The Brutalist. I'm taking 4 out, baby. I'm going wild. Obviously, Challenges should be in there. Absolute fucking just baby brain nonsense that it's not nominated. It would have won. It's the best score of the year. Like, let's just fucking be real. I'm putting in Furiosa. I'm putting in Nosferatu, and I'm putting in Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. Because when the monkeys and the lizards fight the other monkey and the other lizard, I got excited.
Yeah, number 5 for me is Emilia Perez. Number 4, Conclave. Number 3, The Wild Robot. Number 2, Wicked. And of course, my number 1 is The Brutalist. I share your sentiment that Challengers should be on this list, but I'm also grateful that they did not put me in the position I was nervous I was going to be in for months, as having to pick between The Brutalist and Challengers. So now I'm glad I don't have to do that, because The Brutalist is easily the best of...
Here's how you save time. You remember when the camera turns into the tennis ball and how Trent and Atticus go into goblin mode, and you realize, yes, that is the best score, because this all rules.
Yeah, because the beginning of that movie is, what the fuck, I don't give a shit about tennis, who are these people? And then by the end, I'm like, oh, I know their anime backstory, let's go!
God, they really should get Luca to make an anime movie. Give him Akira.
I would like him to... I don't... Is Andy Muschietti still going to do Attack on Titan? Are they going to take that away from him? I don't know.
I hope he does nothing ever again.
We'll see. Luca, call us. Anywho.
All right.
Luca's doing a DC movie. Come on, man.
What's next, Amanda?
All right. Moving into our next category, it is Best Film Editing. Does anyone remember what won last year?
Oppenheimer.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number 5, Emilia Perez. I know, Tom, you're laughing, but also that's one where it's like, what are we fucking doing here?
It's literally just like, in every category, it's just like, it's number 5.
Well, it's also like there's a point where we do like a like triple screen split where 2 of the characters are standing in front of what I think are backdrops from Sweet 16 photo shoots. Like, I don't know what's happening here. I'm lost on this one. So number 5 is Emilia Perez. Number 4 is Wicked. Number 3 is The Brutalist. Number 2 is Conclave. And I do have to give this one number 1, Anora. That movie cooks, and it cooks because of the editing. However, if I had my druthers in these 2 swaps, Anora would be number 3 because there are 2 editing snubs that are insane. I'm swapping out Emilia Perez for Challengers. Hey, Academy. Challengers came out this year. Did you know that? And I'd swap out Wicked for Nickel Boys. A masterclass of editing. An incredible work that is, they always say, like, well, the best editing is unseen. Sometimes that's wrong. Sometimes the best editing is very seen. And that's Nickel Boys. What are we doing here, folks? Tom?
This is also shocking. We have the same exact breakdown. Emilia Perez, Wicked, The Brutalist, Conclave, and Anora. Anora moves like a bullet. I'm swapping 4. Fuck it. Anora stays, and it would probably still be my number 1, but these 4, I think, need to be in there. I'm also putting in Challengers. I'm putting in Furiosa. I'm putting in The Shadow Strays, the Timo Tjanto action movie. And I'm putting in Better Man. You want to talk about the best musical of the year? That is it. And the editing on the dance numbers with the choreography and all of that movie blew me away at Fantastic Fest. Nobody knew what to expect from it because it's such an insane fucking premise. But we're like, oh, this rules. Reminded me of Rocketman, where if you want to make a music biopic, make it a musical so I don't have to worry about, oh, well, is this realistic? Oh, did this happen then? I don't care. The guy's a monkey. And he's doing drugs and cutting his wrists, and he's hanging out of cars with, like, light speed effects. The movie rules. I'm sorry. Better Man. He truly was a better man.
Oh boy. I'm going to shake it up a little bit. Best film editing for me was number 5, Emilia Perez. Number 4, Conclave. Number 3, Wicked. Number 2, Anora. And my number 1 pick, The Brutalist. If you're going to put an intermission in your fucking movie, it's a bold choice and you better use it. And you did. That whole movie slaps. And honestly, I like Anora too. Truly, I wouldn't mind if either one of them won.
I like that we keep saying we're going to switch it up, and then we say that Emilia Perez is number 4 for everyone. But moving on to our penultimate category, we have Best Cinematography. Who remembers what won last year?
That was also Oppenheimer.
Correct. I should just make you say it all in unison.
Oppenheimer.
All right. Mike, kick us off.
All right. My number 5 is Emilia Perez. It's
looking back at Bart. Looking back at Bart. Say it.
My 5 is Emilia Perez. My number 4 is Maria. My number 3 is Dune Part 2. My number 1 and 2 have really fluctuated, so I'm just going to go with my heart right now. Number 2 is Nosferatu, and number 1 is The Brutalist. But again, that's a real, coin toss of a moment. I'm swapping. So
instead of thinking with how you feel, you're going with your gut.
Yes, that's.
2 different things. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm swapping out 2. I'm swapping out Emilia Perez for the most egregious snub, Nickel Boys. I don't know how you give that movie a Best Picture nomination and don't nominate the cinematography. But my swapping out Emilia Perez for Nickel Boys, and then swapping out Maria for a movie that a friend of mine didn't like this film, but he said, I got to admit, it looks good. And that was a guy named Tom Lorenzo, and he was saying that in reference to the cinematography of a motion picture called Joker.
No, I didn't.
Folie à Deux.
Don't you lie about me in public.
I think it's in your Letterboxd review, Tom.
I probably did say that, but I was also being generous.
So this movie has 3 prison guards. I'm going to use a different term. Assault the Joker out of Arthur Fleck. That's what we're dealing with here. The 1 star is simply for the cinematography. Looks good, but what an unrelentingly boring movie. So I'm sorry. You did indeed say the cinematography was good in the motion picture Joker Folie à Deux.
All right, but do you want to know what I did? Is that I wrote that review on the way to the bar, and then when I was at the bar, Joker 1 was playing, and I was like, oh wow, this one actually looks like a movie, and Joker 2 does not. So I didn't go back to rewrite my review because I didn't care about Joker 2 enough to think about it again. You unrelenting piece of dog shit.
To be clear, for the folks listening, Tom has now disagreed with himself 3 years ago and disagreed with himself earlier last year?
Listen, alcohol is a
That's called
fucking
growth.
hell of a drug.
What are your
It's
cinematography?
called growth. That's called alcohol.
What are your
Cinematography. Say it, Bart. Number 5.
Emilia Perez.
Emilia Perez. Number 4 is Maria. Number 3 is The Brutalist. Number 2 is Dune Part 2. Number 1 is Nosferatu. Again, Eggers, nobody like him. The visuals he captures is just, I mean, like nobody does it like him. It's out of control what he can do. I'm swapping 2. Emilia Perez and Maria. Bye. Go back to the dustbin that is Netflix catalog, and I'm putting in Furiosa, and I'm putting in Anora mainly because I feel like a movie like Anora doesn't obviously get credit for its cinematography, but it has that frantic, almost Safdie-esque capturing of New York, but also getting then that like neon, almost Michael Mannish, but with like a little more fun and pomp and circumstance with the strip club stuff and the colors and everything. It feels very real and down to earth and almost documentary-esque, and that's why I don't think it gets his stuff in general doesn't get the discussions about the cinematography. But I thought Anora, it wouldn't have won. It would still probably be like 4 or 5 compared to the others nominated, but I think Anora needs to get credit for what Baker captures, especially when you hear that he had to do the like stealing shots in New York because it's too expensive to film in New York.
Kyle?
Let's see. Number 5, Emilia Perez. Number 4, Maria. Number 3, Nosferatu. Number 2, Dune Part 2. And my number 1 pick was The Brutalist.
Before we move on, I just want to point out that earlier Tom accused Kyle of saying that there's a difference between going with your gut and going with your heart. And it's true, Kyle, there is a difference between that. But what you actually said in the moment was go with your gut over go with your instincts, which I think all of us would argue basically means the same thing.
Thank you for the clarification, Amanda. I appreciate that. That is a fair and sound way to meet in the middle. That's called compromise. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I believe what you were actually doing was you were going with logic, which would be your brain when you picked Wicked. But anyway, let's get back into it with our final category because I'm getting sleepy and cranky, and that is Best Visual Effects. Who remembers what won for that last year?
Fuck, man, I don't know.
Well, wait, no, yes, you do.
It's very exciting.
What?
Godzilla -1.
Oh, that's
right. Oh, God, yeah. The happiest anyone was in the crowd that night, other than the I Am Ken performance.
So,
Mike, kick us off.
Visual effects. Number 5, Emilia Perez. No, it's not nominated, but you believed it for a second, didn't you? You believed it for a second, didn't you? So number 5 is, I'm going to be real with you, something with worse visual effects than Emilia Perez. Number 5 is Alien Romulus.
Jesus
no,
Christ, yeah.
You can't give a Best Visual Effects nomination to a movie with CGI so bad they fixed it later. You can't
Twice
do
later.
That. You can't do that. That's not allowed. That's not allowed.
They fixed it for the disc, and then they fixed it for streaming.
Yeah, it's insane. So number 5 is Alien Romulus. Number 4 is Wicked. Number 3, Dune Part 2. Number 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. But number 1 is Better Man. And it has to be Better Man for 2 reasons. 1, you feel for that monkey when he's doing the cocaine. And number 2, the goddamn sword fight. The fucking sword fight. You know, the fact is, I knew Tom loved Better Man. And Tom usually pretty critical of music biopics and musicals in general. And then I watched Better Man and went, oh, I understand why he likes this. Because at one point, a large group of monkeys throw fists. And he's often said he's always going to like a movie that does that. So all of this makes sense now. There's a cheat code. There's a sword fight, folks. There's a big-ass sword fight between giant monkeys. And that's good. So, Better Man gets visual effects. Now, I faced a dilemma with this because we often do our swaps, right? We do our swaps when we think something doesn't deserve to be in a category and we put something else in. Here's the pickle I found myself in. And I even went and looked at like the visual effects shortlist. I don't want Alien Romulus nominated. However, I didn't see anything that I was like, well, this should be in. So, and I'll put this on camera if people can see it. My swap for this is swap out Alien Romulus for fuck me, I guess Gladiator 2? Sure. Fine. Gladiator 2 for visual effects is my swap. Tom?
Alrighty then. Best visual effects, Alien Romulus, What Are We Doing? Nonsense nomination. Number 4 is Wicked. Sadly, I got to put Better Man at number 3, but this is a top tier top 3. Number 2 is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and number 1 is Dune Part 2. Got to give credit where credit's due. They did do the Lord's work with the special effects on Dune. It's probably the best stuff about the movie, other than Lisan Al Gaib.
Tom, did I miss the scene where Shai Hulud did cocaine? Did I miss that scene?
But listen, there's a lot of monkeys in best visual effects, so the vote got split. I gotta say,
could Shai Hulud do Rock DJ? That's my question to you. Could Shai Hulud?
I think the Bene Gesserit did Shrooms, right? I mean,
no. So I'm swapping out 2. Alien Romulus, Wicked, you're gone. I'm putting in Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire because we need more monkeys, and also we need Godzilla to be there 2 years in a row. He's a big chunky lizard boy, and I love him. And fuck it, I'm putting in Hundreds of Beavers.
For me, number 5 is Alien Romulus. Number 4, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Number 3, Better Man. Number 2, Wicked. And my number 1 pick was Dune Part 2. Yeah, that 70mm IMAX, baby. Truly does pop. Cannot wait for them to re-release it again.
Well, this was lovely. I know it was a long run for us, but I'm glad we got to talk about some of the year's best films. Anora, The Brutalist, Joker Folie à Deux, Hundreds of Beavers, all the best films of the year.
This is only 20 minutes longer than The Brutalist, just so y'all know.
Kyle, I think you're severely underestimating things. We started recording at 12:20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I know, but I think our actual record time is just slightly over 3.5 hours.
I don't know about that, buddy.
Okay, so, folks, thank you all so much for joining us for this. This is how we're kicking off this season. Regularly, our show is about the films of the National Film Registry, so the films that have already come and gone through the award season process. Some have won Oscars, some have won none. One film that we're covering this season, actually, coming up on the show, won all 5 major awards. So I'm sorry. 2 of the movies we're covering this season did that. I just realized that. We're doing 2 that cut all 5. Best Actor, Actress, Screenplay, Director, and Picture. That's right. Did you guys know that? Huh? A little bit of trivia there. It happened one night. It happened one night and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Right.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, it's only been done one other time before, which is Silence of the Lambs, which gets in later. And if you guys like Oscar trivia like that, did you know that Sebastian Stan is only the 9th time somebody's been nominated for playing a president of the United States? If you want to find out more about that, go to our YouTube channel. There's a video all about that. If you're interested in horror at the Oscars, go to our YouTube channel. There's allegedly supposed to be a video about horror movies at the Oscars. We'll see if Tom does it, but he's supposed to. On our show regularly, we talk about the films of the National Film Registry. Every year since 1989, the Library of Congress has selected 25 films to induct into the National Film Registry that are considered culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. And on our show, we take a look at those films to figure out not if, but why those films matter. That's me plugging the show, Tom, instead of talking about watching the Knicks.
Well, listen. The Knicks are coming back soon. All-Star Weekend is over, so my boys are coming back.
That's a joke for anybody. It's a joke for anybody who listens to the Reels of Justice podcast. Check it out. Tom was on it and forgot to plug our show. But I'm plugging our show now because starting next week, our new season kicks off. Our 5th season of the show with some fun 5-timer guests. We're starting with Phil Isco joining us to talk about Blade Runner. Which cut of Blade Runner? We still haven't figured that out. So,
Good grief.
subscribe either on YouTube or your podcast feed to find out which version of the movie we're talking about. Guys, everybody, thank you so much. Oh, and I should note, if you want more content from us after the Oscars, the day after, Tom and I will live stream our reactions just like we did last year. It was a hoot and a holler. Al Pacino said, "My eyes see Oppenheimer." So stick around for that. Anybody else have anything they want to add before we sign off for our 5th Oscar special?
Put me out of my misery.
Lisan Al Gaib.
No, thank you, everyone. 97 years of Oscars, 100 badgers, what was it?
Hundreds of beavers.
Hundreds of beavers.
Hundreds of beavers.
Beavers, right. Okay, cool. I'll probably watch it tonight.
Hell yeah. There's so many.
It's on Amazon. Yep.
See you guys next week for Blade Runner.
Bye-bye.
I hate you all.
You're Missing Out is a production of Neon Night Media. It's hosted by Mike Natali and Tom Lorenzo. The show is produced by Kyle Lampard and edited by Mike Natali and Kyle Lampard. More information about our hosts and guests are in the show notes. Thank you to Amanda Rush for our social media, and all of you for checking us out.
If you're listening right now or want to take the show on the go, every episode is available as an audio podcast. Follow You're Missing Out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you hear, please leave a review and a rating. It helps folks find the show.
Want to watch the show or watch some of the films along with us? Great, that's why we're doing this. Don't leave us alone out here. Check out our YouTube channel. We've got video versions of every episode, uploads of some of the National Film Registry titles we're discussing, commentary tracks, and live streams. And once a month, I'll be uploading some content that's exclusive to the YouTube channel. So be sure to click subscribe and hit that little bell to be notified as soon as new stuff goes up. Because, let's be fucking real, I ain't sticking to a goddamn schedule.
So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
And we'll see you next time.
And you'll see us next time. Because we don't watch you, you're watching us.